Right now, there is a woman in your life who has already made a quiet decision about you. She may not have said it out loud, she may not even fully admit it to herself. But somewhere along the way, something in her shifted. She began imagining what it would feel like to hold your hand, to introduce you to her friends, to sit next to you, not just as someone she knows, but as someone she has chosen. And here is the part that might surprise you. In many situations, women are not passive observers waiting to be selected. Research published in the Journal of Evolution and Human Behavior suggests that in a large percentage of romantic pairings, women initiate the connection through subtle, nonverbal cues. In other words, she often chooses first. The problem is not that she has not signaled. The problem is that most men are not trained to see the language she is speaking. By the end of this conversation, you will understand four powerful signs that a woman has already made that choice internally. These signs are not dramatic. They are not movie-style confessions. They are quieter, deeper, and rooted in psychology and human behavior. If you recognize them, you will never look at her actions the same way again. Let us begin with the first sign. She creates reasons to be near you that do not make practical sense. Think about your own life for a moment. When was the last time you went out of your way, inconvenienced yourself, or altered your routine to spend extra time around someone you felt completely neutral about? Most people simply do not do that. Human beings are wired to conserve time and energy unless something emotionally meaningful is at stake. So when a woman repeatedly appears in your physical space in ways that seem slightly unnecessary, pay attention. Maybe she chooses the coffee machine that is farther away because it happens to be near your desk. Maybe she asks you a question she could easily look up online. Maybe she lingers after a group conversation ends instead of walking away with everyone else. On the surface, each of these actions can be explained logically. But when you step back and see the pattern, the logic starts to look thin. Psychologist Dr. Monica Moore, in observational studies of social behavior, documented dozens of subtle nonverbal signals women use to indicate romantic interest. One of the most consistent was proximity seeking. Women would repeatedly position themselves within a man's personal space, creating natural opportunities for interaction. They were not necessarily conscious of doing it. In many cases, when asked, they would provide completely rational explanations for their behavior. And that is important to understand. If you were to ask her directly why she keeps showing up in your orbit, she would likely give you an answer that sounds reasonable. She may even believe it, but underneath that explanation is something more instinctive. Being near you feels good to her. It creates a small emotional reward. And the human brain moves toward a reward without needing a full strategic plan. If she is choosing inconvenience over efficiency just to share the same physical environment as you, that is not random. That is a decision her nervous system has already made. Now, this first sign can be subtle on its own. That is why the second sign often makes things much clearer. She remembers details about you that you barely remember sharing. Imagine mentioning in passing that you have a dentist appointment next month. It was not a deep conversation, it was not emotional, just a casual sentence in the middle of something else. Weeks later, she asks you how it went. Or you once told her your sister was nervous about a job interview, and days later, she follows up to see what happened. Maybe you casually mentioned that your favorite snack as a kid was something obscure, and she brings it up again at the most unexpected moment. Human memory does not treat all information equally. Cognitive research shows that our brains prioritize storing details that carry emotional relevance. We forget what feels unimportant, and we remember what feels meaningful. When she recalls small, specific things about your life, it is because her brain has categorized you as significant. Some studies on early stage attraction have found that people experiencing romantic interest display enhanced memory for personal information related to the person they are drawn to. It is almost as if the mind creates a special file labeled important, and everything connected to that person gets stored there automatically. She is not memorizing your life to impress you. In many cases, she is not even aware she is doing it. Her attention simply sharpens when it comes to you. Your stories stick, your preferences register, your concerns matter. When someone gives you that level of focused attention consistently, that is not casual friendliness, that is emotional investment. It signals that she is already seeing you as more than background noise in her world. You have become central enough that your details feel worth protecting. And here is something gentle but powerful to remember. When she remembers the small things, she is showing you that you are occupying mental space in her life. Mental space is precious. People do not give it away lightly. So if you notice that she tracks your milestones, follows up on your challenges, or recalls facts you mentioned only once, do not brush it off as simple politeness. It is one of the clearest early indicators that she has emotionally leaned in. These first two signs together tell a story. She moves toward you physically, and she holds on to you mentally. Her presence increases, and her attention deepens. That combination is rarely accidental. There are two more signs that reveal even more, and they move from subtle to unmistakable. But before we go further, pause for a moment and ask yourself honestly, is there someone in your life whose behavior fits what you just heard? If there is, stay with me, because what comes next will help you understand her actions in a way that might change how you respond forever. The third sign is where things start to become unmistakable, even if she herself wouldn't admit it. She becomes subtly possessive or territorial when other women enter the picture. This is not about controlling behavior or jealousy in a harmful way. It's far more nuanced. It's instinctive, it's primal, it's a reflection of how her brain has already categorized you as someone she values. Imagine a normal day. She is relaxed, easygoing, enjoying her interactions with you. Then another woman comes into the scene, a friend who chats with you, a colleague who laughs at your jokes, or even a casual mention of someone in a story. You might notice a slight change in her tone, a subtle question, or a small action that you almost dismiss. Something as simple as asking, "Oh, who is she?" or giving a flat, "She sounds nice," in a tone that doesn't quite sound enthusiastic. These tiny cues are her brain quietly checking, measuring, assessing. She is protecting what she has silently chosen without consciously thinking about it. Anthropologist Dr. Helen Fisher's decades of research on the neuroscience of love shows that when romantic attachment forms, the brain's reward and motivation regions activate. A sense of territoriality naturally accompanies these emotional investments. When a woman perceives, even subtly, that her emotional connection may be threatened, her response is often instinctive rather than calculated. It is her internal system signaling that she has made a choice. I witnessed an example of this with a friend, Sarah. She had been hanging out casually with a man for a couple of months. She insisted they were just friends, and yet her actions told another story. One evening, an unfamiliar woman approached him at a group gathering. Sarah instinctively repositioned herself closer, subtly inserted herself into the conversation, and lightly touched his arm in a way she had never done before. Once the other woman left, she returned to her usual calm demeanor. To an outsider, it might have seemed like nothing. But if you understood her behavior, it was clear. She had silently marked her investment in him, her choice expressed physically before any words were spoken. This is not about red flags or toxicity. It is about human wiring. Women show these micro shifts almost automatically when they have already chosen a man. It is a physical manifestation of attention, preference, and investment. They rarely do it consciously, and often they won't even admit it to themselves. But if you see it, it is a powerful signal. She has decided emotionally and instinctively that you matter. The fourth sign is the most significant, the one that separates interest from intentional emotional choice. She begins sharing her vulnerabilities and insecurities with you unprompted. Vulnerability is not something women offer lightly. From a young age, society teaches women to protect themselves emotionally. Sharing fears, insecurities, or deeply personal experiences with someone is not casual. It is trust in its most refined form. When a woman reveals parts of herself she usually keeps hidden, anxiety about a family issue, a long-standing fear, a regret she never voices, she is making an emotional investment. According to research by Dr. Brené Brown, vulnerability is a strong indicator of courage and connection. When she does this with you, she is signaling that she already believes in your ability to hold her with care. It is one of the clearest ways she communicates. I trust you. I see you. I have chosen you. There was a man named Marcus who experienced this firsthand. He had been friends with a woman for a year, sharing ordinary social interactions. One evening, out of the blue, she called him in tears, describing family challenges and childhood experiences she had never shared with anyone else. Marcus supported her, listened, and treated it like a typical friendship moment. 6 months later, she confided that she once had romantic feelings for him, but stepped back because she felt he did not recognize her choice. That phone call had been her silent invitation, her way of handing him the most intimate parts of herself and testing if he would respond with care. This is the ultimate signal, more than proximity, memory, or subtle possessiveness. When she opens her inner world to you, unfiltered, she has already made a decision at the deepest level. She is not just showing affection or friendliness, she is communicating safety, trust, and choice. When you recognize these four signs together, the unnecessary proximity, the meticulous memory, the subtle territorial behavior, and the courageous vulnerability, you are seeing a woman who has acted without words. She has done her part to signal interest, choice, and emotional investment. But there is still one final layer to this language, one that goes beyond behavior and into physical communication. A moment so telling, so clear, that if you pay attention, it will reveal everything she may not say aloud. That is where part 3 comes in, because it connects all four signs and explains the critical way her body communicates her feelings, often more truthfully than words ever could. Here is the final piece of the puzzle. Even when you see all four of the signs, her proximity, her memory, her subtle possessiveness, and her vulnerability, there is a moment that can tell you everything her words leave unsaid. That moment is physical, instinctive, and often overlooked: the hug. Not just any hug, but the kind that lingers, the kind where her body naturally orients toward yours, the kind where the way she places her arms and the length she stays close communicates far more than conversation ever could. Hugs are a language in themselves. Neuroscientists have found that physical touch activates the release of oxytocin, the bonding hormone, which reinforces feelings of trust, attachment, and emotional safety. When a woman hugs you in a way that feels intentional yet uncalculated, she is speaking with her body. She is telling you without words that you are important, that you are chosen, that she feels safe with you. This is why it is so critical to recognize the four behavioral signs leading up to this moment. They build the foundation. The unnecessary proximity shows her choice in action. Her detailed memory signals her investment in you. Subtle possessiveness indicates her brain treats your attention as a valuable resource. Vulnerability confirms her trust. And the hug becomes the physical culmination of all of these signals, a nonverbal declaration of what her mind has already decided. Understanding this is not about manipulation or decoding every action in a paranoid way. It is about awareness. Women communicate love, trust, and romantic interest in ways that are often quieter and more nuanced than words. If you fail to recognize these cues, the opportunity may quietly slip away. Research published in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships shows that unreciprocated romantic signals can lead to emotional withdrawal within just 4 to 6 months. Her investment is real, but her patience is not infinite. So what do you do once you see these signs? The answer is simple, yet profound. Meet her where she is. Match her energy. If she finds reasons to be near you, make time to spend time with her. If she remembers your details, show her you remember hers. If she exhibits subtle territorial behavior, reassure her with consistent attention and presence. If she opens up emotionally, respond with care, empathy, and authenticity. Engage fully, courageously, and intentionally. It does not require grand gestures, flashy declarations, or elaborate strategies. It requires courage, the kind that comes from recognizing the signals she has been giving and choosing to respond with equal openness and intention. Courage in this context is not aggressive. It is attentive, it is present, it is action aligned with awareness. And remember, the hug is the moment to observe closely. When her body reaches out in genuine connection, when she lingers, when she orients toward you naturally, it is not coincidence, it is instinctive. It is a physical manifestation of the choice she made long before words were spoken. If you recognize that, if you respond accordingly, you are not only acknowledging her signals, you are honoring her emotional investment and stepping into the opportunity she has quietly created. Women are not mysterious, unknowable creatures. Their actions are often deliberate but subtle. Once you understand the language of proximity, attention, protective instincts, and vulnerability, the picture becomes clear. You are seeing a pattern, a consistent narrative, and it is one she has authored long before you noticed. Take a moment and reflect on the women in your life. Notice the times she appears out of the ordinary, the details she recalls, the way she reacts to potential competition, the moments when she reveals herself emotionally. When all these pieces align, you are witnessing a woman who has chosen you. The choice is hers, but the response is yours. The opportunity she has given is a gift, and the way you meet it will determine whether that gift becomes the foundation of something deep, meaningful, and lasting. The takeaway is simple. Awareness plus action equals connection. Recognize her signs, respond with courage and attentiveness, and the emotional bridge she has built will lead to mutual understanding, trust, and a bond that is stronger than either words or assumptions could create. Every subtle gesture, every quiet investment, every unspoken signal tells a story. And if you listen closely, you will know beyond any doubt that she has already chosen you. This is the moment to act with awareness, empathy, and intention. It is the moment where understanding meets courage, where observation meets action, and where the choice she has made meets the recognition it deserves. That is how relationships grow from subtle signals into profound, lasting connection.